amores.
I just wanted to make this video to kind of just like talk about our NCLEX experience and, you know, like leading up to the day of when we took the NCLEX and kind of just give y'all some like tips and tricks.
We graduated December 18th and then we had to wait to get our ATT number to test. And that took a little bit just because it was like the holidays and the new year and stuff like that. So I think they were mostly out of office during those days. But then eventually we did get it, and I scheduled my NCLEX exam for the January 13th, which was a Friday. And then my sister had hers on
January 17th. So I took my exam like 5 days after hers.
Yeah, and so both of them were kind of like a month after our like graduation. And like I said, we didn't really know when we were gonna take it, so we kind of like put off on studying for the NCLEX like right away after we graduated. And also it was the holidays again, so we were like with family and we were doing other stuff and we weren't that worried about it. But since we start our new like ICU job on February 28th and it was out of state, out of Texas, we like kind of were on a little bit of a time frame. So we wanted to take it as soon as possible. So that's why we kind of decided to take it those dates. Studying for the NCLEX, we both did UWorld, and we got the package that like did the probability of like kind of passing, I guess, where it tells you like if it's high or low, and it kind of tells you like what you need to study a little bit. And I really liked UWorld. I found it really helpful for me.
Mm-hmm. And then for me, I personally didn't find UWorld as helpful as I like was expecting it to. For UWorld, I feel that it helps me refresh on a lot of topics, but as far as like learning new content, I don't really feel that it helped me all that much. I think especially for the both of us, I think it really just helped us kind of get into that test taking like mindset and help like kind of get practice questions in every single day. But I don't feel that me personally, I didn't learn anything new. I just think it was helping me refresh on a lot of things.
To be fair though, for her, she is like has so much knowledge. She was so good at studying in nursing school, and she has like the best like long-term memory. And so I feel like that's why UWorld was so like not as helpful as for me.
I think that it helped me with getting used to answering questions like NCLEX styled questions and kind of just getting used to the format of what it would look like. And then also with the 2 practice exams that we purchased as well, it kind of just gave me a little bit of like confidence as far as like seeing if I had like a low probability of passing or a high probability of passing. So it kind of just helped me more like, I guess, mentally. Going into the NCLEX.
Definitely, like prepared us to take like a long exam, and like the layout of the UWorld questions was very like the exact same as the layout for the NCLEX, so that was really helpful. If you can't get UWorld, because we know like it's a little bit expensive, I would like, I know there's a lot of things that I like about the like Mark Klimek NCLEX notes and stuff like that. We didn't use them, but I heard they're great. But also I would say like the biggest thing just for like the NCLEX to like prepare for it and to like study for it is just do practice questions. Like I would say like look over your notes, but it's like there's so much information, there's so much that they can ask you, like that can only be so helpful. And I just think that practice questions over and over, like 100, 150, 200 a day, like if just depending on how much time you have to study, like would be great every single day, and like read over the rationales, because that's like the biggest thing. And to go more into like our specific experience taking the NCLEX, so again, like I said, the UWorld was really helpful for me, but like a little bit of background on me is that I'm like a really good like test taker. I don't have to know every single piece of information to do well in an exam. I just have to like kind of get the general gist of it, and then I can make like pretty good educated guesses. And then for my sister, she like again, she like knows everything. She studies, like she can like teach me, like she's the best at that. It's just that like,
well, I don't know everything, but I do study a lot, and I think that it's just the reason that I study a lot. It's because I get like testing anxiety, and I like overthink things. I like second guess myself and change my answer.
poor baby.
I know. So during like nursing school, I really just tried to like not do that, but it's just like I'm not the best test taker, and I really for some reason can just not make very great educated guesses. Like we are just very different when it comes to test taking.
I just think that she knows so much. It's just like, well, it could be this, it could be that. Like,
and I try to like talk myself into certain like answer choices, and I think that is just because like I start overthinking it, and I feel like she's just very like simple, and it's just like either I know it or I don't, click it and move on. And I'm more like, no, I need to like understand the question and all the answer choices. So we're just very different test takers, and I think that was like played a huge role into like our results and the way that the NCLEX like went for us.
So I was a little nervous because I was the first out of the two of us to take it. And it was a Friday, like I said, Friday the 13th. And those are supposed to be not lucky, but it turned out to be lucky for me. So when I got in there, I kind of like just went with it. I like just took the NCLEX how I normally take tests, and I passed it in 75 questions. I don't know how long it took me, unfortunately, how long it took me to finish the whole thing. I didn't do anything extra. I was studying for about like a week and a half, me personally, on UWorld, doing about 200 questions a day, sometimes less, sometimes more. There was a lot of questions that I didn't know, or like I wasn't 100% sure on. I was like, I've never seen this question before. I've never seen it worded like this. But again, like I can make educated guesses. And then 2 days later, I found out that I passed, and it was great. And our mindset kind of was like, oh, well, like if I passed, there's no way that she's gonna fail.
Knowing that she passed her exam made me feel a lot better. It made me feel a little bit more confident going into it. So I'm like confident. I go in there, I like sit down, and I see the first question, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I don't know what this is asking. 80% of it, I didn't know. Got to question 75, and I was like feeling bad about the exam. Like I really got to question 75. I'm like, there's no way I passed that. When I reached question 77, I immediately kind of just freaked out, and I was like, I can't do this. So I like raised my hand, and I was like waving to the proctor lady, and I was like, hey, I need to go to the bathroom. And the whole time I was walking to the bathroom and I was in there, I was just like telling myself like, don't cry. I just like splashed water on my face. I walked back, and then I started taking the test again, and I got to question 88. And I was like on that question for like 2 minutes. So yeah, I was like stuck on that question, and I answered it, and I didn't even feel good about my answer. So as soon as I hit question 88 and I answered the question, it just turned off for me. And I was like, yeah, I failed that. Like there's no way I passed that. I was like, that was so bad. I walked out of there, immediately called my sister, and I was like, hey, like I'm done. And she was like, how'd it go? And I was like, not good. Like I literally think I failed this. Like there's just, I failed it.
Kind of when I was expecting her to call me to come and pick her up, I was like at another store, and I was just getting like sparkling wine and like her favorite chocolates and like chips and stuff, so we could like celebrate, be like, okay, like it's finally over, we're done, like we're good, her shut off at 75, like let's like get everything else like going, right? And she calls me and she says that to me, and like she wasn't like, I don't think she was crying at that point.
Not yet. I wasn't gonna let anyone see me cry, but I was like holding it together like so bad.
When she called, she was like, no, like I didn't do good. And I was like, oh, like she's just like joking around with me.
She's being dramatic.
Yeah, she's being dramatic. But then she was like, no, like I'm being so serious. Like I don't want people to see me, but like can you like hurry up, because I don't want to be here anymore. And then I was like, oh God. So I dropped like everything that I had and like hurried back to her to pick her up. And I see her like sitting outside of the testing center, like on the street, on the sidewalk, literally like on the curb, like hunched over, like just like looking at her phone, and like she looks so sad and like so defeated. And she gets into the car and she breaks down. Like I mean, understandably, like if you think you failed the NCLEX, like it's not a good feeling, but it's like the way you should have seen this little thingy. Oh, my little baby.
As soon as I shut the door, I like broke down. I was like in tears, bawling.
Like bawling.
Yeah, I was like, I failed. And it's just like, it was just frustrating. I think that I was like frustrated with the test. I was frustrated with myself. I was like, why couldn't I pass that? but I passed.
Yeah.
So that all my crying was for nothing.
I know.
All my stressing.
I know.
But
She broke my heart for nothing.
No, but I passed it, and then and like we were talking about it afterwards, which kind of like leads us into the next like part of this video is just like talking about like NCLEX tips and like how to prepare yourself for like the big test date. My like biggest tip is just going into it with like the right mentality, because I think that the NCLEX is such like a mind game that if you go into it like not being confident and doubting yourself and having kind of like a negative outlook on
How you're doing.
yeah, how you're doing, it's honestly going to affect you. Go into it prepared to take more than 75 questions. If you get more than 75, you can't let that like get in your head and affect your performance. So yeah, that's my first biggest tip. And then the second one, because I do have a lot of like testing anxiety, I would try to use nursing school exams to really like practice your test taking skills and like try to figure out like what works for you and not try to change up the way that you test take.
Well, thank you for watching. I hope you like learned something, and I hope that whoever is taking the NCLEX soon, everyone does great, and
Yeah, like good luck.
Good luck.
If you are taking your NCLEX soon or like just recently passed,
Yeah, feel free
like,
to
let
leave
us
like
know. Leave
let
a
us
comment.
know like what you used, what helped, what didn't for others, you know. But yeah.
I changed my freaking hair. And anyway, so
Sweetie.
I know.
Yeah, we already talked about this. Okay, yeah. Thank you.
I just felt like you were making it seem like there was something wrong with it. And there's
There's
not.
nothing wrong. My makeup.